So what items do you actually need to bring on a listing appointment? Well, here are the 10 items that I would recommend bringing so that you can have a successful listing appointment. The first is going to be the field card of the property. That's going to relate back to what the town actually says about the home. Salient features such as, is it 2 bedrooms? Is it 3 bedrooms? How large is the property? What's the square footage? Tell me about the acreage for the home. A lot of the main features of the property. That way, if there's a discrepancy at all, we're referring back to the field card. The second thing that I would recommend bringing is something on the history or the sale history of the property. That could actually be from the field card from the assessor, or it might be from another report, a mortgage report that might relate to the sales history. That way we can see when the property sold and kind of get an idea for the market history of the property. This could also be applicable for some sales because it's been listed a number of times or has not been listed. This might not be helpful if a property was bought in the 1950s and then was relisted only now, but it may be very helpful if the property is sold continually in an area or a market of high turnover. You can actually see a trajectory here. The third item I would bring is the MLS of the past listing. Now this is very helpful because it actually shows that you've done your research. Many times people they'll have you walk into the home and they'll say, I wish you could see what it looked like when we bought the home. It was pink in this room, the floors were unfinished. You almost like help them through that process or finish their sentence and you're like, yeah, and you could actually see the kitchen used to be old oak cabinets and it looks like you've painted them or replaced it. And they're like, how did you know? And you're like, well, we actually pulled the last MLS listing of the property. We went through it and now we can actually see the difference, and they're very impressed by that. Another helpful point to that is my next number 4, which is bring the disclosures of the last MLS listing, if you have that, to the actual listing appointment. Many times clients have said, I'm not actually sure how old my roof is or how old my water heater is. And I've been able to say, well, actually on your last time that you bought the house, the roof was 5 years old per their disclosures. And you've lived in it 5 years, so we can safely assume that we're around 10 years for the age of our roof. The property history relates back to a report of the subject property. So we really do want to see if there has been past sales that have occurred. The property history being marketed as an active listing, an expired listing, canceled on the market, withdrawn for any reason. Take a look at that past history there. The plot plan or the as-built for the property. This can be very helpful as well because when you show up to the property, an average agent could probably estimate where the lot lines are. A good agent will say, well, I believe that it's, here's a couple of boundary lines here. An excellent agent is actually going to present a plot plan and say, I know your lot goes 150 feet back, 200 feet, eastward, and then back another, 150 feet this way. And so they'd actually be able to define the lot. The as-built of the property is an actual site plan of where the septic or the well may be on the property. A builder may present plans of where they'd like to put the house, where they'd like to put the septic, or where they'd like to put the well. An as-built is, this is how it was when it was built. That way you're able to see, especially for FHA, VA loans, USDA, are the well and the septic 75 feet apart? If somebody wanted to put a pool in the backyard, does the septic actually go into the backyard or is it in the front yard? Where could you put that pool? It's going to be very helpful. You're also going to be able to see when the last time the septic was installed or a well was replaced. That way you can also make recommendations and say, hey, listen, it looks like our well was put in, back at this date. Have you put a pump in since? No, maybe that pump is going to fail. That might show up on a home inspection. It's a great avenue for you to at least be informed about the condition of those items. A seller questionnaire, this is from those previous trainings where we talk about having a pre-listing questionnaire go out to a seller. That way they can fill out items of their property. Did they pull permits? Their expectations of a real estate agent, who's on the title, what do they owe, all of that, so we can refer back to that. And what we're gonna do if we're really good agents is we're actually going to start to ask a couple of the same questions in different ways. So let me give you an example. If someone says to you, I believe that my property is worth $500,000 and I owe $300,000 on the property, you can ask them about the value of the property in this way, a few different ways. Hey, it looks like a few of our comps in the neighborhood sold at $450,000. What's your estimation of the value of the property? And then they're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna reframe my, maybe we're around 450. So you wanna see how fluid that answer is. When it comes to asking how much you owe on the property, it's how much do you owe? Oh, I owe $300,000. Great, is that made up of just one mortgage or do you have any lines of equity? Oh, we do have a line of equity for another $100,000. Oh, have you utilized that line of equity? Only $20,000. So they don't owe $300, they actually owe $320. And so we're able to see what they truly do own the property by just asking the question a little bit different. Let's talk about our marketing plan. This is number 8 on our list of the 10 things we should bring. We absolutely need to share with the customer, what's our plan to get this property marketed? Please be advised that not every property needs the same marketing plan. For instance, if you were going to list a storefront property with, residential, occupancy above, you would not market that in the same way as a cape in a bedroom, a bedroom sort of community. In the same way, you wouldn't market that to a riverfront property. All of these have different marketing plans. So for instance, you might want to market that storefront property to the Chamber of Commerce, where you might see other business owners. You might find out that that's a great place for a coffee shop, so you might actually advertise that to a number of different coffee shop owners in the area. Or you might have a list and say, I'm gonna get on a list of all the coffee shop owners in the region through some sort of publication. You can present that to a seller at that point, and they're gonna say, wow, this is a tailored marketing plan. The same goes with a unique riverfront property or a typical cape in a bedroom community, where you might say, listen, most average agents are just gonna put a lockbox on the door, put a for sale sign on the front lawn, and pray that a great agent like me is gonna bring a buyer. Instead, here are the number of items that we and our team complete together in order to get you an expansive marketing plan. That marketing plan should not be overlooked. Do not focus just on value for the owner and what the sale price is. Focus on what you're gonna bring to them, because they're gonna ask you about commission later. And unless you talk about that marketing plan first, it won't justify the items that you're looking for. One thing that you can also do in regards to the marketing plan is to segment your commission into different marketing stratas. What I mean by that is this. Some people will offer 5%, 6%, 7% marketing plans, and the hope is that you end up somewhere in the middle here, or that the conversation becomes less about someone else's marketing plan and just your marketing plan. So instead of thinking about agent A over here, they're thinking about you, and you know what? I'd rather get everything that's offered in the 6% or 7% plan for 5 or 5.5% or 6%, and now you're negotiating a commission, not about if you should get the listing or not. So those are some other avenues. You can obviously add to your marketing plan and suggest, I'll do interior and exterior photos. I'll do a drone photography for 5%. For 6%, I'll actually run some ads online. For 7%, I'll stand outside and spin something and do 3 open houses in a weekend. So that gives you an opportunity to actually make a more robust marketing plan in exchange for a higher compensation rate. The last thing that we want to bring on the listing is a listing documents explained. Now, we offer this as well. You can certainly download this. This is your listing documents that you have in an actual narrative format. So that way people, if they're left with the listing documents, can actually refer back to them and they're not overwhelmed. Here's a great way to think of it. Some people just have a process where, you know what, no matter what, I have a 24-hour rule. I had a client that said to me, no matter what, how much ever I love a home, I've got a 24-hour rule. We worked through that because some houses on the market didn't last 24 hours, but some people do, and they really need that time in order to evaluate a decision. If that's the case, they're likely not gonna sign with you that day, but you're likely going to be the consideration for them moving forward to sell their house. So what I like to leave with them is, instead of walking through every single document detail by detail, they might say, hey, listen, leave us the listing documents, we'll let you know if we have any questions. However, they're not real estate agents. In fact, they may call a couple other real estate agents or have questions with their lender or their attorney. In this regards, leave the listing documents explained for them so they get a general understanding and sense for what the document is looking to cover. Some people have affiliated business disclosures, and where they might say, well, there's a title company and there's a lender that's also associated with this brokerage. But they might say, I don't want to be marketed to, or I don't want to have to go with them. Just by reviewing the form, they may feel like they have to go with these companies, but in your listing documents explained, you may say, this is just simply a state required disclosure, letting you know that these two companies exist in a partnership together, but there's no requirement for you to actually work with this particular title company or lender. This can be extremely helpful, especially on the day of signing and people have questions about the listing documents. Hey, if that was a helpful video, keep watching for more content that I produce every single week about how to accelerate your career as a real estate agent or how to grow a profitable real estate team.